Back again for a podcast. We ain't been here in a minute, but I think this year's so far so good with everything. 11 games in, NBA 75. I think anytime somebody brings up the NBA, you gotta say 75 as well. I don't know why we gotta do it all year. That's what the advertisement and promotion and stuff is gonna be. So NBA 75 on the Hoopers Pod. We're in a good time in the NBA, but I think we're also in a weird time. I know, of course, not even looking at the professional level, but I know for a fact that there was a time when you started looking at the players' names in high school and you was wondering, when did you get so kind of far out of the recruiting to where you don't even recognize how some of these players play. I don't think that's the thing in the NBA, but I do think we're in a time where the game is a lot looser. I guess that's a good word to use for it, especially when you see how players like Ja Morant play, even Steph Curry this late in his career, Trae Young. We have players who just not play any style that they want. I mean, we have players like Jamal Crawford got to play like that, but I feel like it's in abundance now. Even look how Jalen Green gets to play as a rookie. Like, growing up could you imagine being able to play like that? Just growing up, being a high school basketball player, like, that's not something that was going to be a thing. Like, you was going to have to thought you was going to have to fit your style into how the professionals played.
Right, yeah, because that, and like you said, you had a few people before that did do it. Jamal Crawford is definitely a good example. Obviously, Allen Iverson. And to humbly speaking, I feel like I had the ability to do whatever. Like, I typically had green light on my team. I was always like the leading scorer. So, but you always thought, as a pro, I can't do certain things, so you didn't even try to do it in a game. Not even because you was restricted from doing it, because like for instance, just playing high school ball at Grady, I played at Grady. Like, I could have did whatever, and I don't think Coach Slade, he wouldn't have taken shout to Coach Slade. He wouldn't have taken me out of the game at all. I literally played the whole game. But you thinking like, I'm not gonna be able to do this in the NBA, so why do it now? You might just do it on some street ball stuff or whatever. But the stuff is so common now, from the not even just the deep threes, but just some of the layups that people take, right, some of the crossovers that they try and stuff like that. The shots that you take, the amount of them you could take, or whatever, like within the clock or whatever. So it's definitely looser is the best way to put it, because you always had, the better players are always creative with their game. They always got more range to do more.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So you always would do a little more. But even still, it's still certain things people didn't do just because it's like that. You don't do that as a pro or whatever. So, I mean, the easiest thing to bring up is just like the deep threes or whatever. Like, that's something obviously we probably would do playing pickup. I can remember when we was young, we gonna play at the Y, especially on the shortened court. We shooting from half court or whatever.
Right.
But you weren't realistically doing it in a game. And players, we did shoot deep threes in high school, but that's because the elite players, humbly speaking again, I mean, even you as a shooter, as good a shooter you were, you shot deep threes in the NBA because the NBA three was deeper. So we shot from the NBA line. We weren't necessarily shooting from half court. You shoot from the NBA line to show recruits, I have this range, but they just shoot them just because. You know what I mean? So it's different. It's different or whatever.
All right. And with that being said, I'm John W.
Fresh X.
This is the Hoopers Pod, and even just sticking with that, I remember we was I think we was watching the Philly game the other day. And it was just a layup line, and I just remember being amazed how one of the assistant coaches, shout out Coach Mike, not shout out Coach Mike, but Coach Mike, he was just beginning of the season, not even beginning of the season. I think it was after the first. It's probably like the second or third game. We want y'all to break a sweat. You know, we want y'all to be catching y'all second win for the tip-offs. By the time, you know, when they catch their second win, you're like,
right, you don't even,
like, if you look at the NBA layup line, you do whatever you want.
Man, I looked at Philly layup line like, I've never seen Andre Drummond attempt threes, and he's literally shooting corner threes in the layup line, but you would think you're gonna be doing game stuff or whatever. And obviously, I get the preparedness that you want to have, and I've always been a game shot type of person.
Right.
But
isn't that
coaches definitely used to go overboard?
But we also didn't have a shoot around in high school. We just had a layup line. Right. So, but it's just funny to see. Like, so I remember the thing that caught my attention in that game was Lonzo. He went up half-heartedly, like just for a play dunking. He ended up like he get the ball up under the rim still, like he didn't even touch the front of the like he.
Oh man, some layup lines, that's what they really do nowadays. Like nobody's even trying to dunk. They're not even really trying to make shots or whatever.
You're just going through the motion.
You're just going through the motion, and it especially is you. Not to, I hate to make it a younger, older thing, but you can see when some of the older players that like, obviously the older players in the league are like LeBron or whatever, and I think that the switch is probably around like the 16, 17, like the Lonzo era players. The earlier era players definitely go harder in the layup line than the newer guys. It's definitely way more laid back. It's more vibing to the music.
Hey, you layup line.
Yeah, for real. But look at an older player. They're really taking their game shots. They like Melo jabbing. He's pulling up. You get, and not even just because you say, oh, they're trying to get warm because they're older. That's just because that's how. Do, right? Yeah, that's how the routine was. But if you go, because we did some stuff with Baller TV a couple years ago. So we watched some AAU games, some high school games, and I think even a little bit if you see some college. I haven't been too locked in on the NCAA the last couple of years, but it's definitely looser in high school layup lines now than it was when we were playing in high school.
No, for sure.
It's way looser, and those players are now in the NBA, so it's transitioning over.
No, I definitely agree with that. Like that, I think that is a perfect transition. That Lonzo class is when you kind of see it start. Like anything in between, they even leading up to Jason Tatum because they all would have. They will be peers so far as like they would have grew up on the circuit together.
Yeah, definitely they would be on the circuit together.
Speaking of Carmelo Anthony, shout out to him for help saving this early part of the Lakers season. He had 31 the other night on. It was 10 for 17 shooting. I think it was. My numbers could be off. He was like something from the field. Carmelo Anthony is having a great season, and just to see him flourish in this role, I don't want people to look at Carmelo at the end of his career because I see it kind of happening and just saying he's a catch and shoot player because he's still definitely more than a catch and shoot offensive player. Yeah. But the way he's able to catch and shoot with so much rhythm in this Lakers offense, I feel like he's been their most consistent offensive scorer. I'm not gonna say player, but I will say he's been their most consistent scorer.
Yeah, he's definitely their most consistent scorer. He can be a catch and shoot player. Like he can catch and shoot, but when you have players as good as Carmelo, to only have him in that role is limiting your team. So you got to use him. You got to use him in every way that makes the team best. And especially since he's leading the second unit, like you always need a player you can play through. When you have a defined player you playing through in the second unit, those teams are usually always successful because you know what y'all are doing. So and he has been big for them because LeBron done missed some games. Westbrook done had some bad games. AD has is he hurt right now? I think he got hurt the other day. Did he finish the game? So I don't know, but they definitely have been struggling to start the year, and Carmelo has definitely kept them in it a good amount.
You think he gets 6th man of the year if he keeps this up?
Yeah, I always thought he could have been in that conversation. Like I thought he was going to be in it last year with Portland. Yeah, but especially once they turn the corner and they finishing in the top 4. And that'd be good to add to his resume too, 6th man of the year.
Just off the winning the award, of course not, because he wasn't a 6th man his whole career.
Right?
Would he be
the best 6th man of the year
award winner?
Yes, he would be. He'd be the best player to ever win the award. He wouldn't be the greatest 6th man ever.
No, right. But just
he probably would be the greatest 6th man ever, actually. But yeah, he'd be the best, especially if he win the award and the Lakers win the championship. He's the greatest 6th man ever, just like that. But just individually, as we just think about the player to win it, he would be by far the best player to ever win that award. And I don't even know off the top of my head another superstar player.
Should I have a check?
There was no. That's what I was trying to think.
6th man of the year. We know he
but it would have been John Havlicek,
right?
But like did Ginobili win one?
Yeah,
way better. Way better. So of course you got Jamal Crawford, you got Lou, but yeah, Melo would be by far the best player to ever win the six man. Excuse me. Carmelo Anthony will be by far the best player to ever win the Sixth Man of the Year award.
Oh, for sure.
Easily.
I definitely agree with
that. And if they win the championship, he's also just the best award winner too.
Yeah. But just speaking on the Lakers, of course, a lot of the things that NBA, Lakers Twitter is
about to tweet that right now.
Of course, there's a lot of things that NBA Twitter, especially Laker fans, are kind of upset with the Lakers with. Of course, is Russell Westbrook's play, but for a second year in a row, it's Frank Vogel's and his offensive system. And we all know Frank Vogel isn't an offensive coach. Like, he was a defensive coach in Indiana. He just had good offensive players like Paul George and David West and even Lance Stevenson, who led the league in triple doubles one year. Mm-hmm. But do you think Frank Vogel is running? I don't know. This is always a weird question. But do you think Frank Vogel is playing the best offensive system for the talent of players or not even for the talent of players, but just for the players he have on his team? Of course, there's still some injuries with THT and Wayne Ellington, but Malik Monk is back. I don't think Kendrick Nunn is back yet. But do you think he's running the right offense for this collective of players? He's not getting fired. That's first.
Yeah, he definitely not getting fired. It's been weird though, because at the end of the day, you got to kind of recognize that they don't even have their team, and then LeBron has been out,
right? But
like no Trevor Ariza,
right?
No Taylor Horton Tucker, no Wayne Ellington. Like, so the people you was expected to do things with aren't there, despite what I may think about Wayne Ellington as a starter. If that did seem like that was the rotation that they was gonna go with, so you got stuff you want to run with him in mind. As Kendrick Nunn, like, I don't think Kendrick Nunn hasn't been out there. I know he was out at the beginning of the season, but no Kendrick Nunn. So, and these are like your important role players, like right. Wayne Ellington and Trevor was supposed to start.
Right.
Taylor Horton this was supposed to be a year he took a step forward, and they start asking, should he be starting or whatever.
Sure.
So I think that with them out there, maybe we thinking something different about their offense. But I guess, being with what you got now, maybe it is the wrong offense for what's out there on the court. Maybe you got to switch it up, but it's like, dang, do you want to switch up your whole system? And then when they come back, you got to go back to what the plan was?
I agree with that. It's just, like I say, Frank Vogel isn't an offensive-minded coach. He's defense first.
Definitely.
So, maybe you should just, I don't know. It's always tough in those situations, especially with a coach who he isn't going to get fired. It's like he just have to make those adjustments, and it's like, do you want to make super adjustments game 11 of an 82-game season?
Exactly.
Which you don't really want to do.
Hell no. At all. But the Lakers they'll be, I won't say they're going to be okay because it's still early, but it's just a matter of,
they're not getting put out in the first round.
If they finish 6 or lower, they are. Hey, man,
that's a different conversation.
Look, too many 6s ain't making it to the finals. But they'll be okay. It's just a matter of getting the team back. But we got to see what they look like fully healthy. So they got to get everybody back.
I feel you. Are you bored?
Bored with the Hawks for sure.
Which is what this is leading to. I still haven't seen the quote, but there have been some reliable people telling us that Trae Young is on the record of saying that the regular season is boring. You're 11 games into the season after your first time in the playoffs. I get you had an extended playoff round, but you're only one season. You've been to the playoffs one time. So to hear Trae Young, one of the leaders on the team and probably the main voice of the team, is coming out and saying the regular season is boring, and you see when it's sitting at 4-8 right now as of this recording. Is Trae Young the problem? Should we trade Trae Young?
Possibly. Gotta put him on the block, see what you can get for him. But I mean, really, so this is what everyone said that the Hawks had to not do coming into the year.
You're the first to say that.
You can't live on going to the conference finals, because what happened last year don't matter. Like the Bucks being the champions didn't matter. The moment they got the ring, it was over.
It was over after they visited the White House yesterday.
No, it was over. The moment they got that ring, it was over. And for a team that didn't even make it to the finals to be like, oh, the regular season. I mean, I haven't seen the quote yet either, so I don't even know if it's true or not. People have said that he did say it, but like I just said, even about the Lakers, there's not too many teams that have won with the 6th seed, and being the best team generally
makes it easy.
Bleeds into the regular season because it's the preparedness, it's the knowing your stuff, it's the having the actions and the counteractions and the reactions to everything, and all of that is built. The habits are built throughout the regular season, and that's why most of the teams that win a championship are a top 3 to 4 seed, because it also matters too with the seeding and who you're gonna play and the teams you can catch, because a team may be a lower seed not because they're a bad team, but maybe that team's injured, so it's not as hard for you to beat it, and it helps with advancing to be the 1 and have to play the 8 instead of having to play the 5 or being the 3 seed and having to play the 6 or whatever. It helps being a 1 seed or whatever. So, but to not even to have accomplished what it thinks, to not have accomplished much yet, because all right, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals and it was a good look, cool, but honestly, I know we went through some bad years, but we was just in the Eastern Conference Finals like 5-6 years ago, so big deal. You know what I mean? Y'all, what's the big deal?
60 games.
Yeah, so
60 games.
It's still so much to go, but I don't know if it's the team crowned itself. A lot of people crown them, and we all say it's different when people are coming after you. Now they actually want to beat you, and I also think. Real quick, just with the Hawks, you want to see them win some of these games because of who they're playing, but you can't overlook the fact that they're at a really tough part in their schedule right now, because they're playing all good teams, Brooklyn, Utah.
Back to back.
Yeah, so
like last night was their second time playing
Utah, right?
Back to back.
So that matters too, but this is when you show when you're made of, because when they played down to a team, the Cavs, even though they're playing better this year, but now you get to those teams, and that's when you got to stay ready. Teams want to beat them too. I mean, especially after how you advance, you upset some higher seeds last year, or whatever. So teams not gonna take
watching out for you,
right? They ain't gonna take you lightly at all. So you can't get lazy with it. But I hate the new. I ended on this. I just hate the basketball. The NBA was different because it was the survival of the fittest. The 82 game season is because the regular season is long, is grueling. It's also how you make your money, but in this way you sharpen yourself and you set up for the playoffs and go to the next level. But part of being the best, I miss the teams that wanted to get the first seed. Like, we want to be all-stars, not just because I'm averaging this, but I'm averaging this and my team good. That plays into winning awards. It plays into the money that you get. So to think that it's boring is crazy, because that just means you ain't seen the incentives that come with winning in the regular season.
He'll realize it's not boring when that Supermax don't kick in.
Right, but I miss the players that just like to play. Like, oh yeah, we want to hoop. I want to play 80 games, and I'm dropping 40 every game. That's how I'm coming with the mindset in the game. You playing every game like you, because the whole thing used to be people saying the season is too long now or whatever, but it used to be the mindset of I'm playing every game like it's my last, because what if you go out of this game and you get hurt and then you can't play no more? Now you gonna want to play an 82 game season now, when you can't even get through 5 games without sitting out, or worse, it hinders your career or whatever. So I think players start to take the basketball side for granted at times, but that's all hearsay, because I still haven't even seen for a fact that he said it. So I try not to jump too deep off of anything, Pauls, when I haven't heard it or read it. I've tried to Google it. I haven't really seen it. I did tweet something about it, but I do want to say on record, I haven't seen him actually say it, and I tagged him in it too, because if he didn't say it, maybe he would have came back at me like, don't believe what you hear, or maybe he would have said something smart.
Believe what you want.
Yeah. He probably would have. He probably would have said something smart, because the reaction is to just snap back at somebody and try to embarrass them, to actually be like, nah, bro, I didn't even say that. because I could instead of having a genuine conversation. But at least if you would have said that, I would have took his word for it because I haven't seen it. So, but he didn't. I mean, I only have like 100 followers, so he didn't say nothing to me.
Nah, for sure. But shout out to the Hawks, and hopefully Nate McMillan gets it again. I just think a lot of that too with their early season woes is him just trying to figure out how to spread these minutes out among these players, and that's just leading to early season chemistry issues, which really shows on the defensive side of the ball, which is where they're really struggling at. And he's just gonna have to tighten up his rotation as the season goes. I know everybody's always excited when you can hear, a coach can go too deep at every position, but realistically, do you want to go too deep at every position? It's a luxury that you really don't want, right? But you don't mind having it.
This is, and we've all complimented how the depth of their team, pause. But we've all complimented that. But at the end of the day, even the strength in numbers Warriors still play 7 guys at sometimes. It's just a matter of that 7 guy might switch tonight.
Right.
Like the having more players off the bench definitely helps during the regular season because you can keep fresh bodies. But when you get in the playoffs, that rotation is going to shrink, and not even because you want it to. So I do think Nate is definitely trying to figure some stuff out with this team, but I also think Nate got to get out of that old man. Not that we should even crown Jalen Johnson easy, because I did see him at Duke last year, and though he has been impressive, he did not upgrade that team. I don't care what the issues were there. I don't want to hear it. I do respect the transition is different, but he still got something to prove, is basically what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to shit on him or nothing, but that team wasn't good. So, but I think he can help this team, especially when DeAndre Hunter is going to be out or whatever, and that keep youth in the team. So he got to kind of get out of that old man, I don't play Ricky thing. I get why Sharif's in the G League because he's on a 2-way contract. So his money obligations there. He needs to stay there because if he plays so many games in the NBA, which is probably going to happen anyway, but they got to make it a real NBA contract. Yeah. So you got to kind of, that's a money thing. I already get that.
They don't worry about that at the end of the year.
Right. And there's a lot of guards on the team right now, so no need to start losing money right now. But it's still early, and then especially like say Gallo was out, then he came back. Lou missed the first couple games. He's back now. He's trying to figure out the thing between Lou and DeLon Wright. DeAndre Hunter's kind of been in and out. You trying to figure out the Kevin Huerter playing situation, but Kevin Huerter's been playing terrible. Cam has been pretty solid.
He had a good start last night.
He did, and I said that they need him to have a good game. He started well, but Nate has to figure out this rotation, and the players just got to come wanting to win, and not just thinking you gonna show up as a 7th seed and make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals. People thought that the Lakers could have won the championship if they were a higher seed last year, but people thought just because they were in the play, it's just being in the playoffs that mattered. And we learned last year that that's not true, because it's harder to beat a 1 seed in the first round and you're the 8 seed. They had their injuries and stuff like that. Obviously, that stuff played a part in it. But you just don't want to play. Why would I want to play the 1 seed in the first round? Even if I got full confidence I could beat y'all whenever, whatever. If I got to play y'all, we got to play y'all. I'd rather play Phoenix in the conference finals when this guy's going, because obviously I'm LeBron, I'm gonna be good. AD, he good, but you want your role players going, and we done won some playoff series. They feeling themselves, and that's why they look so good against Miami. We was able to get through when they won the championship. We had to get through this, and now KCP rolling, and he's still going. Instead of you hoping he hot from the start in the first round.
No, for sure. And like you say, it's just like I say, he's gonna figure that out. That's enough on the Hawks. That we was talking about the Hawks for almost 8 minutes there. But shout out to our Atlanta Hawks, and they gonna get it together after this tough stretch of games. The Washington Wizards are one of the surprise teams. I think both of us had them in the playoffs when we did a Coach Cal show a couple weeks ago.
Definitely did.
Montrezl here, I didn't get to see the whole interview, but he's definitely, I seen the quote from him saying that, a reporter asked him, what's the difference between this year and last year with the Lakers. He's basically like, Montrezl Harrell, I'm on the court. And to see all those Lakers players who was in that trade, KCP was thriving early in the season. Kuzma looks good so far this year. Montrezl Harrell looks good. just to see those players thriving, and I know a lot of those players just thought they was whatever players that you had to, you had to figure out a way to make the money work with Westbrook. But to see those players thriving and playing good for the Wizards, you throw in Spencer Dinwiddie as a free agent, signing as a star point guard, Bradley Beal as Bradley Beal. Do you think the Wizards can keep this up? Shout out to Wes Unseld, who's doing a terrific job so far as the head coach of this team. But do you think the Washington Wizards can keep it up this year and be higher than a play-in team this year?
I think so. I think possibly. Obviously, we saw them trade Russell Westbrook, and you just think, oh, God, they just traded Westbrook. And this is before the Dinwiddie thing. They didn't even get a point guard out the deal. But when everyone, after, the dust settled, about 2 weeks later, people kind of looked at the deals like, Washington got some solid players. Like, KCP, not a bum. I know Trez has had his ups and downs the last couple of years, but he just averaged 19 and won 6 Man of the Year. It's legit that the Kuz thing just became a fit thing because Kuz has had his moments. He's averaged 18 in the league, and you're not expecting him to come be the star there. So you look at the players that they got, and these guys are better defensively than what Washington has had. Also, they compete. Yeah. I mean, just add KCP alone. And then you bring in, they sign Spencer Dinwiddie, and it's like, Dinwiddie's a good point guard to go with Brad. He can get his own offense. He's not the team's best player at all. So you start looking at that team, and you just think they could be anywhere from 6 to the play area, just because the play in. The East is so deep that being like, if you're the 7th seed, you're in the play-in, and I don't think that's a failure or whatever that the team wasn't good. It's just a product of how much better the East is.
Right. And just speaking of all those acquisitions, of course, we've known how the people feel about Bradley Beal being up with the Wizards over the last couple of years, saying they want him free and to get him out of there, and he should ask for a trade. But he's always been on record saying he don't want to leave, he don't want to go anywhere. He signs the smart extensions, 2 years.
2 years. He hasn't signed longer than 2 years.
Which is the smartest thing you could do as a professional athlete. Like, I'm committed, but I'm gonna do it in my way. 2 years, and that leaves your team with, regardless of the contract he signs, that leaves them with space to sign players and to get good players. And just to see the Wizards, it might not be a championship team they put around him, but it's a good team they put around him. And just to see that him just staying pat with the team, they got him a good head coach so far in the season. It's still early in the season. But isn't this why players like Bradley Beal don't care about going, not just Bradley Beal, like Dame, just all those players like that. They don't. That's why when they sign these contracts with these teams and they say they're not leaving, this is why they're not leaving, because they know if everybody do what they're supposed to do, it can be a good situation, and I don't have to leave for a good situation.
Exactly, and this is why they stay, because when Brad first came to the Wizards, I mean, they were a playoff team, and you just want the organization to give you a chance, like give you solid players, and then you as the best player is supposed to step up.
Right.
And Washington they've tried to make moves, honestly. They just haven't been successful, and then everything just changes when stuff was centered around you and another player, and both of y'all are hurt, and the John Wall really gets hurt, and everything kind of changes. But this is why you stick around, or why you want to stay, because I mean, if some organizations are actually trying to make moves to do right by you, and now you're doing it on your team, and you just want to be able to, like I said at the beginning, be able to be there, right, just to compete. No. And I think they can keep it up. Like, it's a lot of teams. The best in the East, to me, obviously, are the Nets, and then it's like the Bucks and Philly, because Philly from last year, obviously. Those are the teams I think are obviously at the top. And then I kind of want to put the Bulls in there, but it's still a long season.
Right.
But actually, it's the Nets and the Bucks, and then I would say the next two, Philly and the Bulls.
Now Miami?
Philly, Bulls, and Miami are all
in the same category.
They're the next three for me. Then everybody else, Knicks, Hawks, Wizards, Toronto, maybe not Toronto, Indiana, Toronto. That's when you kind of get into those. Not Indiana and Toronto. They kind of next, but you kind of get into those, and those teams, they make the right moves at the trade deadline or the buyout market, they can kind of sneak their way up a little bit more. Especially because Brad is a top 15 player in the league.
No,
so
definitely. And like you say, especially coming off to where John Wall suffered that injury, and that did kind of throw the team off because you had the team built a specific way.
Right.
I would like to think the Wizards kind of made that turnaround a bit quicker, especially they were able to draft 2 young players in Ryu and Denny. Even trading for a young player like Thomas Bryant, signing Bertans on a decent. Looking at it, that's a decent contract for what he was doing. Honestly, like nobody's talking about that being a bad contract. They've put in not great players, but they put a great supporting cast around him and these good role players. Honestly, that's
right. They definitely trying to trade Bertans though, because he ain't been holding up his end of the bargain. But also going to get Gafford, like he that was a really good pickup. They've been trying to make the right move. So and Brad is giving them availability, so it helps that he's out there and it's a focus to the team of players that we know is going to be on the court.
Right. Nah, for sure. Speaking of the Chicago Bulls, so they're having a really good season right now. DeMar DeRozan is leading them in scoring. He was leading them in scoring that last time I checked. Are you surprised? Of course, are you surprised that the Bulls, not even just the Bulls, but are you surprised DeMar is playing at this level right now? Like I say, he's shooting 38% from 3 last time I checked as well. So he's having a really well season all around. Were you expecting this from DeMar, or were you just expecting him to kind of have a good season?
I would definitely expect him to have a good season. I didn't know that he was going to kick his scoring back up, but I think it's cool to see because people have seen him the last couple of years play that role with the Spurs of facilitating and moving the ball and stuff like that. And some people kind of thought that DeMar wasn't a scorer for real no more. Because remember his last year in Toronto, he averaged like 27, I think, 28 almost. So some people wondered because he still be that scorer. And he's shown his just he showed his versatility in his game to show that he was able to move the ball and do something different. He was average career high in assists, but now he's on the team. Lonzo is running the team. I don't have to be the best passer on the team. He's back to getting buckets. So, and I think that's what makes Chicago. I mean, that's what's gonna make them. That's gonna make them. What's gonna make them dangerous? Because you can really go to either one of them.
Right.
And Zach is probably the better. Zach is probably definitely the more talented player, but I don't really know that Zach is better than DeMar. Zach is definitely probably their all-star, but
is he their all-star?
I don't know. I would think that DeMar is still a better player, but Zach is a really good player, and he's having a really good year also. So, and I think they complement each other.
And he's still the first option. I've been pondering this question to myself because I know what people gonna say when they hear this question. But the Bulls keep it up. DeMar keep up his level of play. Should he get the Chris Paul MVP votes?
Yep, the same.
The same MVP votes.
And this team, he actually made them better because the Bulls was terrible last year. So
should he get those?
He get
MVP?
that. I mean, realistically though, for real though, if the Bulls finish top 3 in the East, which means they have a high amount of wins, I would think they would have someone in the MVP conversation. I mean, I know you got to think about Utah last year. They didn't really get nobody. But DeMar averaging 27. Donovan Mitchell averaging 25. You know what I mean? That's cool. 27 is different. Them 2 points matter. So,
another bucket.
I could definitely see that'd be big for him to be in the conversation. And I would love to see that for him too because wouldn't it be a good change of the narrative because he was traded because he couldn't get it, which he still got to get it done. They still got to get on the top, but to finish in the MVP conversation because it was made to seem like Kawhi is a better player, obviously. But it just made it seem like Kawhi was just so much better than him and that he was almost like he was a borderline all-star when DeMar was top. He was top 2 in his position. I mean,
at one point it was him, James Harden at the 2-guard position.
Yeah, they were the best 2s in the league, and now you start to wonder is DeMar top 5 at his position again? I would say
top 5 small forward.
I guess he is playing small forward, huh? I was still thinking about him as shooting guard. Yeah, I was just thinking about wings nowadays.
Nah, big.
I don't know about top 5. He's top 10.
The Boston Celtics, of course, I want to say this before I get into the Boston Celtics all the way. No homo. It was a fake trade rumor going out there that Philly had talked to Boston about trading Ben for Jaylen Brown. And, of course, like I said, it's come out that's fake already. But just thinking of the prospects of the trade, everybody feels different about. Everybody thinks it's a good trade for one team or the other, or for both teams, but everybody feels differently about what else should be approached in this trade. Me personally, I'm not looking at Ben Simmons just as what he's done on the court. I'm looking at his achievements as well, which he has more achievements. He has more individual achievements than Jaylen Brown, all NBAs, all defense, all-star games. I need more. If I'm Philly, I have the right to ask for more compensation from Boston than they do for me. I don't know if you feel the same way, but that's how I feel. Like, I don't have to give you Seth Curry or Matisse Thybulle to start the talks off. Like, my talks don't have to start there with you. Like,
nah, definitely not giving you 2 potential starters and an all-star just for one all-star player. I mean, especially Ben finished top 2 in defensive player of the year voting. All defensive first team. He's been all NBA third team before, and he's a 3-time all-star. Jalen's made an all-star game, and he's averaging 27 points. I do think though that this would be probably the best trade for both of them, especially because it seems like Philly is cool with Tyrese Maxey at the starting point. I think that they should still be looking for a point guard. Maybe you really hope John Wall gets bought out. I don't know what's going on with that situation, but if John Wall gets bought out, Philly should call him. But Boston needs playmakers, and I mean, Ben Simmons is exactly what y'all need. He'll move the ball. That kind of but it definitely locks Jason Tatum in as the undisputed first option. But it also takes Marcus Smart from being your starting point guard, because he's been terrible as a starting point guard. He can go back to just being the heart and soul of the team or whatever. So, but if any other team was like, oh yeah, throw in something else, Philly definitely could ask for something else, and they couldn't be mad at them. But I don't think that they should ask for another starter or like three first round picks, like Jaylen Brown and
I seen Jaylen Brown and Grant Williams. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because then
that's just the problem with Boston.
Because if you with Philly, then you got to give up a better player. I would just do Jaylen Brown
for Ben Simmons.
Straight up. Maybe a second round pick, but I would just do it straight up.
Nah, Philly. But just to talk about Boston, who's been majorly struggling. Not Jaylen Brown. I don't even want to throw Jason Tatum in there. Not Jaylen Brown. He's been having a pretty good season. Like I say, he's averaging 27. But Boston is just struggling in general. Al Horford has been good when he's out there, but that's sometimes. Jason Tatum has moments, but he hasn't really put it together all the way yet. As you said before, Marcus Smart hasn't been the best starting point guard, and Dennis Schroeder hasn't really been the best backup point guard.
Right.
This team has players who are good players, like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Through all his faults, Marcus Smart is a good basketball player. He's not a good point guard. He's a good basketball player.
He's a good basketball. He's a smart basketball player.
And having a new coach, which they do have this year, shout out to Neil Long, sitting on the sidelines, favorite game. What are you trying to get the team? Just how do you right the ship right now? Because you have to, regardless of when you do pick up a good win, you seem to pick up bad losses in between those good wins. Like, what are you telling them right now? Like, how do you fix this?
For one, for sure, you need more out of you need Jason Tatum to get his percentages up. For one, he's like slightly under 40%, but and that's pretty terrible. So you definitely need his percentages to go up, but you just need more offense off of your bench. Like, they're not getting much offense from Josh Richardson. They're not getting much from Grant Williams. They're getting nothing from Peyton Pritchard. I think that he could possibly play Jabari more, honestly.
Yeah. I agree.
But Boston should be looking for a playmaker or a shooter. But with what they have intact, they need those players. Like we saw Payton Pritchard score 90
You
over the summer. I'm gonna keep bringing it up because when he was dropping that 90, he was real cocky. But you averaging 2 points right now, like knock down a bucket. Like that's what they need. And I'm a big fan and defender of Romeo Langford. I thought that he was a real life hooper. Like he had a nice offensive game. I remember him out of high school, went to Indiana. He had a wrist injuries for a minute. He's been hurt throughout his NBA career. But this is his year where he gets the opportunity, and he's averaging 6 points. He's averaging more than Payton Pritchard, but they need more from Romeo. And this is like he's playing 18 minutes a game. I think he can do more.
Nah, I feel you. I definitely agree with that. The whole team could do more. Like even Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I find it funny. It's not funny, but it's like ironic. Of course, Jason Tatum has always gotten the closest to Kobe Bryant comparison. Him and Devin Booker, R.I.P. Kobe. They put Jason Tatum in the Kobe jersey for the NBA 75 promo commercial, and he's not doing Kobe. He just is it bad luck for a current Celtic player to wear a Lakers jersey?
Yep, should have never did it. Honestly, have always thought, like, even just going back to when he was coming out of Wheeler, Metro Atlanta, shout out Jaylen Brown. I always thought Jaylen Brown had more Kobe in him than Jason Tatum did. So
that's right. You know, Jaylen Brown is. I think Jaylen Brown is the best player because I am the leader of the Jaylen Brown fan club. But like I say, so far we're still 11, 12 games into the season. There's been some good play. There's been some bad play. Shout out to Cat. I don't know if you saw that half court shot he hit to tie it up. Shout out to John Morant. I seen something. I think he's the
youngest player in the top 10 scoring.
No, the youngest player to average 26, 6, and 7.
Yeah, because he's like 21, right? Yeah. 22,
21, yeah. And like I say, Memphis has been playing good so far, and Memphis can keep it up. We all expect John Morant to be an all-star first and foremost this year, especially with his solo play. But I'm one of those people that's in the camp of thinking if he can keep this high level of play up and Memphis has a decent spot in the playoffs, John Morant might get some MVP consideration. Just real quick before we get out of here, do you feel the same? I know how you feel about players putting up big numbers and winning. You said it a couple times in this episode alone.
Yeah, I mean, they top 5 right now, barely out of the 4th seed. So if Memphis finishes top 4, John Morant's getting some MVP votes. And if they can finish even better, which I don't think they have a roster to finish better than 4th, but if they did finish better, he could win that award. I told you he averaging 2.0, and Allen Iverson is my favorite player of all time. Right. So
my bad, that's not the last question. But like you just said, because you just brought off an interesting point, Memphis doesn't really have. They have a good roster, but they don't have a home court advantage roster, especially in the West, where we know the competitiveness over there is going to kick up. Do you think Memphis is going to be a big player in the trade buyout market?
They should be, and then it's just a matter of what player that they're trying to get. Like it would be a lot better for them if Washington wasn't good, because then maybe they could trade for Bradley Beal, because that's what they're missing. Like if they had like Bradley Beal on Memphis,
high level scoring,
yeah. I've been saying that for a minute. They'd be really good. Cause I like Jaren Jackson. Jaylen Brown works in Memphis. I like Jaren Jackson there, and I like Steven Adams at center. So it's only natural to add. You're either gonna add a center or you're gonna add a wing. So I think a wing would be better. They should go for Jaylen Brown. They can have Dylan Brooks. Give him Dylan Brooks and either Tyus Jones or Zaire Williams. And
first round pick.
I want to give up Brandon Clark.
I like Brandon Clark as a backup, but I feel like once you get Jaylen Brown,
you don't need him. All right, you can have Brandon Clark in the second round pick.
Need him, but is Brandon Clark gonna be a factor in your playoff rotation? I think he can be, but will he be?
Possibly. I just know you can have Dylan, you can have Zaire Williams, our rookie, or Tyus Jones, or you can take both of them. It's up to you. If I'm getting Jaylen Brown, and I build it around that, but Jaylen's an all-star, so you're not getting.
You can't have Kyle Anderson though.
Yeah, you can't have slow-mo. No, definitely can't have slow-mo. But you gonna have to give up a lot of first-round picks. You building a trade for Jaylen Brown around Dylan Brooks. It's probably gonna be like 4 first-round picks, and Drew just got 5. So,
hey, why not?
What you getting for Jaylen Brown?
But like I said, I think we're gonna end it here. The NBA has been real good so far. You got anything else you want to end with before we get out of here?
Nah, that's it for today. Just the NBA has been pretty good so far. The Warriors have been way better than I think anybody could have thought Miami's at the top of the East. We're tied at the top of the East with Chicago and Washington. So it's been cool to see. I like that the play have drowned out for Philly anything about Ben Simmons. They need to go ahead and just... I don't know how that's going to end, but it don't even matter. But other than that, just as always, appreciate the listeners. You can find us anywhere podcasts are available. Just search the Hoopers Pod. Google Podcasts, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora. All those cool places.
Coming to title soon. We're going to figure out how.
We had the dinner with Jay-Z.
Should have had dinner with Jay-Z. I know somebody that know him.
But yeah, and then every Monday and Friday, you catch us on the Nothing But Net app through the Dash Radio. The Nothing But Net channel through the Dash Radio app. Right, did it twice, right? Nothing But Net channel through the Dash Radio app. Just go in your app store, download the Dash Radio app. Get the Nothing But Net channel like it. We're on every Monday and Friday, 3 p.m. And then, of course, every Friday morning, it's the Hoopers Morning Run at 9 a.m. But not this Friday. We're going to do something Saturday on our YouTube page. Go search the Hoopers Pod on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to that. And what's the Twitter page?
At Hoopers Pod.
At Hoopers Pod on Twitter. And so you can go ahead and like on there. And we also coming on the Off the Ball Network's Facebook page.
Nah, for sure. But other than that, I'm John W.
Fresh X.
This was the Hoopers Pod.
We'll catch y'all next time.